the beginning of the 20th century wasn't necessarily the greatest time for the world. China was divided by the Boxer Rebellion, President McKinley was just assassinated in the United States, and European countries were filled with dreams of militarism and eager to show off the full potential of new weaponry. But they couldn't fight each other just yet. So instead, they used their arsenals to bully third world countries who owed them money, like Venezuela. There, President Cipriano Castro, no, not that Castro, refused to pay off the nation's debts to European nations after the recent Civil War. So, Germany, Italy, and the United Kingdom sent a bunch of ships to Venezuela. Big ships, with big, scary guns. And they created a naval blockade, and they threatened war unless Venezuela paid them back. In the US, McKinley was succeeded by Theodore Roosevelt as president, and Roosevelt didn't like what was happening in Venezuela. He cited the ideas of the Monroe Doctrine, which prevented European colonization of the Americas. Roosevelt went on to establish the Roosevelt Corollary, an extension of the Monroe Doctrine that firmly established the United States as an international policing power in the Western Hemisphere, and even allowed them to use their military to enforce things. With the United States now working to negotiate between the two sides, a compromise was reached. And the Roosevelt Corollary turned out to be the greatest thing ever, and everyone lived happily ever after. Just kidding. Now that the US was established as the policing power of the Western Hemisphere, they began to force their way in on foreign affairs. Over the next 30 to 40 years, the US would use the Roosevelt Corollary to intervene in Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Nicaragua. President Roosevelt even used it to justify the US's assistance of Panama during the Panama Revolution, where the region broke away from Colombia as its own nation. With the US allowing the revolution, they immediately stepped in afterwards and claimed a section of land from Panama to build and occupy the Panama Canal. Ultimately, regardless of how the United States used this power, the idea of the US as an international police force grew over the years, and the Roosevelt Corollary exists as an important step in America's path to becoming what's now considered to be a global police force.